it's Scott Manley, and this is
Marlona Sky.
and we are talking about EVE Online. How's your week been then?
It's been busy. We're still looking for a title for the series that we're doing. So.
Yeah, I heard the escape pod appeal to a number of people, but I think that's already taken, unfortunately.
It is taken by some terrible website that I don't know.
It's probably better than this podcast, but who knows?
Yeah.
But it has been a big, big, big weekend for EVE, hasn't it?
Definitely. We had FanFest. I think it started,
anniversary FanFest, right?
yes, sold out. Lots
Sold
of people
out
there.
Epic Symphony, the Symphony of EVE
Yeah,
Online.
at the very beginning, they took a few popular songs from in the game, and they had the Icelandic Symphony Orchestra play their version of it, and everybody loved it.
Yeah, everybody loved it. I mean, the music was not the finest classical composition. The orchestra was, relatively good, but
Just a small
it was
piece.
just
I think it was
nice.
yeah.
I mean, it's a small country, but it was really just nice to hear a lot of those tunes, reinterpreted.
I don't think anybody was expecting that. Nobody was, none, except for like CCP there. But as far as the fans that showed up to attend, none of them were expecting that,
Right.
and they were all just blown away. So
Absolutely, they got a big applause. I had people like randomly saying, "Oh my God, I'm this is tears of joy. This is bringing me. This is not the kind of tears I usually get in
definitely
EVE
nostalgia
Online."
that going on there.
Yeah, I think, it just shows you how emotionally invested people are in EVE Online. But anyway, yeah, I mean, people were definitely very excited over the whole weekend. There was a lot of big things happening. If you saw the EVE keynote, right?
Yes.
What do you think got the biggest cheer?
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to tell.
Well, I think there was two things that got really big cheers that I particularly noticed. One was the whole mention of the ice belts getting changed to anomalies. That I was surprised to hear how big a cheer that got.
Yes.
But the other one that was really like people had not expected. People had been expecting the ice belt change, and so there was like more a cheer of anticipation. Like finally, we're doing something about it.
Lots of speculation. Yeah.
Right, a lot of speculation. I am now richer than I was. But the one that really came that nobody was expecting was the war on loading bars. When people saw that happening, the idea of the transition animations.
Oh, it's all about immersion.
Right.
I mean, if you can sit there and have players where it's like, right now the loading bars that, from undocking to jumping gates and just like they said, it's supposed to be like one shard, one universe, and it's like, and every time you see that loading bar, it just snaps you out.
Right.
Like, I'm playing a, video game or whatever, and it just takes you away from what's really going on.
Right, but I mean, if you watch that stream, it's just really the reaction to that is amazing. It's a very small thing, it's not like cutting edge graphical effects. It's just
it's not like a giant expansion. It's just it's things like that when you add it all together, it's great.
It improves the experience for everyone. I'm looking forward to seeing these things on Singularity, and the new APOC model as well. Which who was it? He commented that they had been building it for 10 years and they finally finished the underside of it.
Yeah, because it had all like little
it looked like the Death Star in Return of the Jedi. Half built.
It was half finished, but now it looks beastly. I mean, it looks like something very formidable.
Right, so, yeah. It looks like truly a formidable beast, and of course, it's all V3'd, and all the capital ships I've seen on Singularity now are V3'd as well, I've noticed.
Yeah, I want to see the new Dominic's model. I know that I haven't found anything solid where I think they're in the middle of revamping or giving a new look, and apparently there was like a picture that was up for just a moment.
It was a low-resolution mesh or something that turned up somewhere. I'm not sure, but it would be nice. It's always nice to get new models, I have to say. But I mean, what else did you really take away from FanFest? What talks really did you think that would change your game?
Well, as far as like currently, like they talked about the economics, like they're redoing the way industry works in nullsec. I mean, they're adding.
Oh my God! Yes.
Ton of stuff. I mean, the idea is to get it where the way it used to be, and they mentioned this is like, you had your PvPers and you have your industrialists, and they work together to survive, especially at nullsec. and they thrived. But as time went on, Moon Goo and Jumpers, it became where you didn't need industrialists anymore. Like you simply go to Jita, you get that stuff,
and you ship it out,
and you just jump right out and you're done. There was no need to have industrialists in nullsec.
Right. Well, part of the problem was the tritanium bottleneck, right? That if you're in nullsec and you're mining, the only thing you should be mining is the most valuable things, and that's like Arcanor, Bistock, Crocite, right?
Right.
And none of those contain low ends. So now they're adding like vast amounts of low ends to these high end ores. So just by mining, they've increased the value of those, and they've now actually given an in-place supply that you will have no reason not to go after. So there will legitimately be possible to run a full industrial cycle out there and undercut Empire.
And now you're going to have the slots and the stations and all that stuff to be able to actually build it in a realistic manner.
Although, I mean, I'm kind of concerned that this now means that the only two stations that matter are Minmatar and Galenti, because now everybody has plenty of manufacturing and research slots.
I actually didn't get a chance to really look at what they were changing. I mean, they need to keep it where it's
you need to maintain
reasons
the
to
advantage.
have each one. Yeah.
Right, and I did have seen comments that basically now the outpost upgrades actually make sense. So, people have never really upgraded their outposts particularly. They've typically upgraded the Minmatar by one level so they can get perfect refine, but nothing else.
Office slots or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's just been about it. I mean, there's nothing. As a matter of fact, I haven't looked at what kind of upgrades you can really do in like years, because it was just, when they came out, it was like a good idea for a minute, and it's just like, well, why spend all that stuff when you've got high stack?
Did you see the section where Seagull, I think it was talking about how they would like to do station destruction, and they basically made it clear that they would really love to have Dusties involved?
That was towards the end on Saturday, the CCP Presents, but it was a combination of actions in EVE Online and actions in Dust 514 that would result in the eventual, like these steps or just plans to go about the overall, destruction. Like, I don't know how it would extend of a destruction. Would it just be where you can't use it anymore and you could just, get your shit out? Or
it's like far distant stuff. That was their, far future
it's
pie in the sky, This is what they'd love to do. I mean, they showed the Eve Forever video again, right? Which everybody would love that to happen, but
yeah.
And they also showed the new like 10-year trailer or whatever. What do they call it? The Origins, Eve Origins.
Yeah, it will be, and I think they knew this when they made it. It's going to be. I guarantee it's going to be the intro movie when you first go to start the client.
Yeah. Do you remember the old? I mean, you remember the old one that was like static screens and text.
One. Yeah. Or maybe we got the current one where it's got the eye.
Right, that's the current one. Yeah, and there was one before.
I remember
that.
there was one before that. And it's just static screenshots, isn't it? And you hear, like, is it even there's narration?
There was narration. There was a female voice narrating, explaining about the wormhole, and
Yeah, it's pretty old school stuff. I'm sure you could probably find it on.
It's on YouTube if you want to look for it. Yeah, I do kind of like the trailers.
Time for an upgrade, and if you haven't seen this trailer we're talking about, you gotta watch it. It's just,
oh man,
it's gonna get your blood going. It
makes you want to play Eve.
Yeah, not just Eve, but Dust. I sit there and after I watched it, I was done writing up some stuff. I sit there and I fired up my PlayStation. That brings us to the
oh my god,
expansion.
Dust.
Uprising. It's
finally not. It's finally. I feel that I don't have to apologize when people play Dust. It's always like it'll be better.
I haven't played it, but everybody that's played it has said it's like almost a completely different game.
Right.
And
I hear the textures are double. Weren't they saying something where they had a bug and it was double rendering frames? Or that was a different thing.
Oh, I don't know, but like the lag's improved. Everything looks gorgeous.
Textures are better.
Vegetation. It's really. I mean, I think they're really pushing it. as far as what like the PlayStation 3 can go, or the current generation console.
Right.
And
I've been seeing, like, on my Alliance channels, there's been a whole, like, we need to re-recruit people to Dust, right? We had a bunch of people play,
yeah,
and they kind of faded away. Now is the time to get everyone back in so that, we
if
are
you
ready.
played Dust before, when the expansion comes out,
Play it again.
you got to play it again. It's not gonna be the same experience.
Yeah.
It's gonna be what you really think.
It's what you wanted it to be. Although, there's still room to improve, for sure. Like,
Yeah, well, and that's the great thing is like even and they really emphasize this is even after PlayStation 4 comes out or whatever, it's like they're just going to keep updating it. It is not restricted to a console generation. It's going to keep evolving.
yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
And the other game they showed off, which we only really saw a trailer of, because neither of us could actually get to FanFest due to, I couldn't because of my job, but they had the Oculus Rift VR combat simulator thingy, right?
Yeah, it's where you fly around in like at least what they used for the demo, and there was people there playing it. Was it playable or is it you just put the thing on?
It was playable. People were playing it, and you were flying around in a Templar fighter and shooting other players. I think it was designed like, 4-player deathmatch or something.
Yeah, they were dogfights. I think it was 6 versus 6.
Oh, was it 6 versus 6?
I think so. I remember reading that.
But it was a very simple tech demo put together in the Unity engine. I mean, they had all the art resources and everything from Eve, and they just, dropped it into a standard kind of deathmatch moment. And
I think they originally tried to do it. I read somewhere where they tried to do with Doom 3 or something.
Well, Oculus Rift was originally going to launch with Doom 3, and I think they've had some issues, or they've had some time crunch issues. But it is launching with Team Fortress 2. I've had a bunch of people that are developers talking about Oculus Rift, like
they said it was weird for a shooter because you're running around, but they said it just felt perfect for Eve because you're in a cockpit.
Right.
And so there's not that awkwardness of like I'm looking in 3-dimensional stuff and actually running but if you're in
Well, they've actually fixed the running problem. There's a great video up of somebody playing Team Fortress 2 and actually having to run as well as wearing this. It looks very weird, but I tell you, that's the way immersion is going. But not for us, because we don't like to walk around in stations yet. We like to imagine we're, immortal pod pilots, right? So I guess
almost want to say that it pretty much stole the show as far as FanFest goes. I mean, I think it really did.
I mean, people wanted they want to have the dogfighting.
Yeah, it's just that people got that and they were like, I want this right now.
Right.
Just shut up and take my money.
Yeah,
That's all it was about.
I don't care if it's not integrated, to be honest. I mean, I know they're big on integrating everything, but I would not mind a few Eve offline properties. Just, they have the art assets, and it wouldn't be such a stretch, I don't think.
There's so much they could do. It's like, okay, let's say we finally do get to where we can open the door, and it's Ocular Rift, and then you got other players, and you just have matches of 66 or 12v12 or whatever it may be, and you could bet on your Eve account, ISK, and Matt. I mean, you could do stuff like that where you're not doing something that, you're trying to take an outpost or you're trying to do something per se in Eve. But as far as like the money goes, the ISK, you could use it for betting and stuff like that on these little Ocular Rift tournaments or something.
Yeah. Well, that brings it. Speaking of money, how much are what is the prize for Flight of 1,000 Rifters? I hear you've been getting a few donations of prizes and things.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna really start pushing over the next couple of days because it's happening.
Well, this is your chance, right? It's happening. You want to get on a super carrier kill mail?
For total prizes that'll be given out, it's over 22 billion now.
Whoa!
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yes, it is.
You could almost buy another Nix for that.
Yeah, thanks for all the prizes, guys. I'm going to just
distribute them all over the place. And actually, I've been giving out prizes for my Burn Jita, raffle. That was quite happy.
Oh.
We should probably put a raffle at the end of this show as well for like people that get through to the end, right?
Well, we could perhaps somebody that comes up with a good title of this series, we could give them something.
Yeah, or just encourage people to listen by dropping some information halfway through and making that the question. Anyway,
Well, before we get into Flight of a Thousand Rifters, there's a couple of kills that happened over the last several days.
Yes, one involved in Nyx. I know.
Yeah.
My favorite one. Oh my goodness.
There was a guy that was he allegedly normally streams PvP when he's streaming on Twitch, and I guess he was bored. He decided, you know what?
I've got a carrier. He actually says, "I've got a carrier. Let me show you how to rat in a carrier."
Yeah, he decided to start ratting in this carrier while streaming live.
Yes.
He went out of his way to try to cover up information where people could just look at the screen, but didn't quite get everything. And there's the other thing too, is like there's search agents.
Right, search agents. People knew where he was, and it's literally like it happened so fast. It was like red in system, and he starts aligning out, then he's scrambled by this manticore.
Even though there was so many anomalies in there, the problem was when he had his scanner open for all to see, and on the scanner it's got codes or locations.
Wow, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, and when you're watching the stream, you see the exact one he goes to. So all that Manticore do is come in system, hit the scanner, and he just looks and finds out that same one matches up. Right click, warp 2.
Warp 2 lands, scrams, sign up. And
the Nyx come in there, and you get to watch his face. He's got his face in the lower left.
It's in the top right, isn't it? I don't know, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's in the lower left, and I guess people, when they're streaming for some reason, I guess it's maybe to make a connection with the viewers, they like to stream the camera on their face, and they'll have that somewhere on there.
Yeah, I do that sometimes when I stream live.
Yeah, so, and you see his reaction basically go from... And it's like an hour and a half long of this stream he does. And
right. Well, the best bits are actually on YouTube, the best 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's towards the end, and you've got to watch it.
Of course it was towards the end. He quit after losing his carrier.
He gave some sage advice right before he cut the feed, which is, don't stream while you're ratting in a carrier. And he dies.
I mean, you see him trying. He tries to jump to a beacon, but he's just not fast enough. He can't find one in range. He gets scrammed.
Yeah.
He puts fighters on the Manticore. Well, he puts drones on the Manticore, but
drones. And there's so many things he could have done.
Well, he could have put ECM drones on that Manticore.
ECM drones.
Yeah, but he didn't. He put damage drones, and it just had enough tank to stay alive long enough for the next.
Yeah, it's like there was like 50 things that if one of those things would have went a different way,
he could have got out. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens every time I lose a ship. Like, I'm always like, if I'd only done this one thing differently, I would have I could have denied it.
I think we've all been there. It's just we haven't done it while we were streaming, though.
We haven't done it in public while we're streaming, and it's wonderful because it preserves this moment for everyone to see. This learning experience can be shared by all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do this on the Mittani, right? You do the amusing loss of the day. Or you've done a few of these. Maybe you don't do them all, but
I've done a couple. I have one on this particular one, and it should be coming. It won't be out tomorrow because you understand. It's like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we have going on there, and we can't just here's 20 articles in one day.
Right, spread things out.
Yeah, we like to just we can't just put out 5 awful losses of the day, even though they're all worth talking about. So we try to keep it to like 1 or maybe 2, and that brings us to another one that was just is great. There was a little mining group that a week prior. There was a guy that came in, and I don't know if it's the same guy, but they had their ice stolen out from under their nose.
Is this the guy in the obelisk?
Yeah. Well,
I think this is actually on the Mittani right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that guy, but
something came in a freighter and stole it, right?
A week later, this freighter comes in, and what the freighter just assumed these are mining barges, but one of the miners, the prior week, he was like, that's it, I'm going to put on a warp disruptor. And so this freighter comes in and, goes to steal the stuff, and then that because of the new Crime Watch, stealing is no longer restricted to the corporation owner of the can. It's your
Oh,
you know,
that's
your
right. Yeah, you can
yeah,
grab
anybody.
anyone.
So all the miners were like, "Oh, hell no!" And the guy got warp scrammed, and they unleashed like
They
Tech One
droned
light
him to
drones.
death.
Yeah, and it took like I don't know, like 15 minutes or something like that.
but
And
yeah.
it's they just pecked away at him until and then meanwhile the guy is trying to like, hey, this
I'll
puzzle
pay
let
a
go.
ransom. Here, take your ice back.
Yeah, he's like, I'll give you the ice back, and they're like,
Nah, we want a kill mail.
So they kill him, and it's great.
Yeah,
Stuff
I have
like
kill
that.
mail in my Orca against someone, and I'm so proud of that. Even though it was a mistake where I picked up somebody else's ice and then they attacked me and then I killed them. But it's kind of cool to get kills in industrial ships. Yeah. It's something to be proud of.
But the biggest kill that anybody's gonna want to get on is going to be this Sunday.
This Sunday. Right.
So for those you don't know, I'm hosting a player event this Sunday, and also at the same time, a lot of people are going to be logging in. We're going to try to break maximum logged in users. That was set like a couple of years ago during EVE Online tournament.
Right, Alliance tournament.
Now, by the powers that be, what I have is I have a Nyx. It's all of this stuff in this event. None of it's just manifested out of thin air. This is all player made. This is all bot. It just so happens that I'm taking it, this Nyx, this fit, and the tank on it, which is courtesy of Mr. Scott Manley here. There's going to be, and nobody knows this system yet, there's going to be a low-sec system that I'm going to undock from a station, this Nyx. And from there, I'm already outlaw. I'm like -5.2. There's going to be 22 billion in prizes. The object is to kill this Nyx. Now, half the prizes, it's about, I think a majority of the prizes, let me look here. You see the value of the prizes. I think like 2/3 of it. There's two different tiers of prizes. There's tier 1 prizes. Now, to win those prizes, it's based on a point system. The only way you can get points is by being in a frigate, and it's the damage you do to the Nyx when it dies.
So only frigates are eligible for the prizes.
Right.
Everybody else is just there for the kill mail whoring.
Well, yeah. Now, there's another tier of prizes that's, I guess, challenges. Like, it could be the most frigate kills using a Galente frigate will get you a Daredevil. It could be, let's find another one that's the person that gets the closest to 10,000 damage to the Nyx while flying. Well, this is a frigate too, but we'll get you 50 million. There's
so there's a whole pile of special prizes. How about is there a prize for the second most expensive kill in that system on that day?
Second most expensive kill? I don't.
Right, so the most expensive is going to be you unless something crazy happens, right?
Yeah.
So this is the next one down,
me.
right? The person that brings a really bling ship and then loses it. Whoever kills them, I think I'll add a prize for that if there's not one. I'll throw in a plex for that prize. You've heard it here first.
Plex. All right.
Right, so
we're gonna hold them to it.
I'm good for my plex is good. My plex is good. I'm forever handing them out to people.
Let's see. Here's another one. The most kills using a stealth bomber will get you a Hound, a Nemesis, Purified, and Mana Core. And there's another one. I'm just going to mention another one. The most kills using a Catalyst will get you 5 Alystra Catalysts.
Oh, wait. Okay, you can get the complete set, right?
Yeah,
that's a Plex or Buddy option. I actually have a set that if you need. Okay, never mind.
Well, while the tier 2 challenge system prizes, that's going to take me a good while to get those out because you got to
do math.
I have to do math, and I have to look at. I don't even want to think about how many kill mails.
Oh my!
That'll take me a good while to deliver on those. But
Eve Kill has an API, right? You should enlist somebody to actually pull the data from it and do all this for you.
Oh yeah, but people ask, they sit there and see what needs to be done, and usually they kind of just disappear into thin air. So
Well, yeah, if you'd warned me a little sooner.
oh, yeah. Well, who knows? A system will come up, and I'm going to do my best to make sure it's as accurate as possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're definitely looking forward to it. And as I said, I will probably just turn up and try to get on everybody else's kill mail.
It's again, it's May 5th, Sunday.
This Sunday, and May 5th is also important because it's basically the day before the 10th anniversary, right?
It's the day before 10 years of Eve.
And it also, they've said that anybody that has an active account on the 6th, I guess, or the 5th. Be in the 5th. Yeah, you get the Gnosis cruiser, right?
Jovian battle cruiser.
Cruiser.
It's badass. It's
on top of that, though, they've actually just been doing this thing on Twitter. The hashtag Eve is 10, and I've seen it's had a reach of 100,000 so far based on analysis. But they said that the more this gets spread around, they're going to add other things, other gifts.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So if you have a Twitter account, tweet something to do with hashtag Eve is 10, and maybe we can all share in more loot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We should definitely do that.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of cool loot, one of the things that was very very exciting to see at FanFest was this collector's box set, right?
Oh, yeah, the next decade.
$150 box set, which has, amongst other things, it includes a USB hub that is shaped like a Rifter.
Yes, when information is passing through it, there's little lights on the Rifter that light up.
Oh my god! It includes a book, and it has, what else? You get in-game items like a golden pod, and a mystery code, which will be good for the future apparently.
Yeah, for the next 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, $150. I wish I could buy it with Plex. I mean, if I could buy it with Plex, I would be on it like a shot. Right now, I'm considering it.
Demand for it. I mean, there's people that say, we should be with Plex. And I agree. I mean, why not? I mean, if it all translates the same to them, they should make it an option.
Right. Well, I think they only seem to like to make the Plex things that they're already spending money on, I guess. Like FanFest tickets, it doesn't actually cost them anything. But, digital items are fine. I mean, I might even just be interested in a digital collector's edition for Plex.
I could see that too, because there's some things, I mean, let's be honest, there's some things in there that people really aren't interested in.
Like, the golden pod?
Well, no, I mean, that's part of the digital thing, but as far as, physical stuff goes, I understand there's that...
Oh, the danger game.
The danger game,
right.
And...
Which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's...
It's like an Icelandic board game that CCP made before they made Eve, and they used that money to fund Eve.
It was actually, I mean, you gotta sit there and respect the fact that it was popular.
Yeah, it was 70%, 70,000 households or something, and in Iceland, that's like a quarter.
It was in every 3 or 7 households or something.
Something like that, yeah.
It did really, really well, and of course, we, I mean, you have to sit there and pay homage to that, because if that game didn't do well, we wouldn't have Eve.
Right. But they're redoing it, they're translating it to English, and then they're replacing all the character photos with CCP developers.
Yeah.
So, Guard is the drug dealer or whatever.
Guard is the drug dealer. Or,
he looks the part.
He looks like a teenager you wish you didn't have, though. So,
Guard.
It's, I mean, there's a lot of other cool stuff in there, too. I mean, and again, it's... there's a coffee table book that's got the history of all this stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, if you're really into Eve and you're just a fanatic about it, this is definitely a good buy.
But it will buy you a year of games time, right? I mean, I don't know if it includes any game time at all, or if it's just a box of.
It's a good buy if you're American.
Oh yes, it's more expensive. Yeah.
Because they're charging the same amount.
Oh, they're charging €150?
Yes,
Oh my god, that makes it like $200.
And there's a lot of people complain about that, and I thought, I was like, okay, it's a little bit more, but if you go and if you look up the conversion rate of $150, No. It doesn't go up to $200. What it is 150 euros is like 200 and something dollars
Right.
American.
Right, exactly.
So what they really need to do is they need to lower the euro amount. Sit there and make it.
I mean,
even.
you'd think that since they're near Europe, I mean, they're in Iceland, they're not in the Eurozone, they still have their own currency. But maybe they're all
supposed to
thinking.
be like 110 euro or pounds or something.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what it is in pounds. They might have their own value for that. Anyway, I mean, that's just a kind of cool thing.
Oh, and, we got our new CSM.
New CSM, yes, and Nullsec seems to have done pretty well out of it, unsurprisingly.
And
we have Mena.
Dust has their own council, too.
Who? Oh, yeah, Dust has their council, but they weren't voted in. They were more or less selected because
they were handpicked.
Yeah, for their contributions to the community.
Yes, they've shown like excessive. Well, not excessive. What is the word? Exceptional dedication to.
Yes. They had faith through all the bad builds and bugs. They
if anything, they're partially responsible for what you're going to get with Uprising expansion.
I sure they can take some credit. Let's say.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, and other interesting CSM news. Obviously, we've got the new one coming in, and we've got all these interesting. They're mostly nullsec and I guess the only one that can claim to be semi-representative of highsec would be Trebor, right? But he is with DirtNap, but he's always been an advocate for the highsec people.
Yeah, I think what makes a good CSM candidate is one that actually understands all the aspects. I know it's asking a lot, but where they are familiar enough with all the material, so to speak, where they don't just sit there and like, oh, you want to talk about wormhole space? Okay, well, whatever. I'm not even going to sit there and listen to you.
Right. But the other CSM related news in the last week was the leaking of the Skype logs from previous CSM for the first couple of months of this, or the last couple of months of last year and first month of this year.
That kind of it's not.
It was a lot of boring stuff, but there was definitely some interesting comments in there about how at one point they were testing prototypes of mining changes, which involved actually doing stuff to increase your mining yields.
One of those builds is they've translated it to the hacking, the new hacking.
But the hacking actually makes me think of Deus Ex: Human Revolution. It looks very similar. So it'll be nice to see that, I guess, in the new exploration system. Which
did you see the screenshots? I mean, what we saw wasn't exactly what you're actually going to see in the game.
Oh,
the demo. No, it's definitely a watered down. In the demo, it's very, very watered down.
I have yet to see it. It hasn't come to Singularity yet, so we've not been able to mess around with it.
It's pretty amazing. Well, I mean,
even the scan effects though are looking very pretty.
That's definitely.
It'll make finding those ice belts a whole lot better.
Yeah, it's the scanner. I mean, instead of it just being this list information, and it's just literally more Excel stuff. They've taken it and given it to you out in space.
Right.
Where the scanner does a sweep, and now you've got these icons out there that you can warp to. But there's also the way to go about doing it, dressing these icons. They're going to be different. It's more interactive, and it's less spreadsheet, more, space.
Less spreadsheet, more spacey. And we like more spacey because we don't like the spreadsheet in space. We prefer to minimize the spreadsheet's words, of space.
What I really like about it, I think this is a step towards eventually getting rid of local.
Oh, yes. Your favorite.
Yes. And
it has been mentioned.
I mean, like if they sit there and was just to remove it right now, it wouldn't work. And I understand that, but if they keep heading down these very interactive and just intuitive ways of gathering the same information, as opposed to like the scanner, you hit a button and you've got Excel.
That was one of the things that was actually specifically discussed in those private CSM logs. Basically, the developers saying they do not like the local concept, or at least having that as an Intel tool. They want a window.
Yeah.
Now, whether that will get developed,
There's a lot of stuff where it's like, what, we know about this. It's like, when it comes to like power projection, or super capitals or something like that, and they're like, we know it sucks, they hate it, but it's like, you can't just sit there and just reach into the heart of the game and just rip it out, and you still expect it to sit there and keep beating.
Right.
So you have to go about these things in a very smart way. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of going about things in a smart way, I mean, look at the resource changes. I mean, that is like hitting everything with a huge hammer. The markets are all going in every direction. Moon minerals are like, they've added new reactions and stuff basically to kill the tech bottleneck.
Right, it's
R64s,
going to go back to R64s as pretty much the premier moon.
But
right?
not only that, I mean, they're resurrecting. Thulium had been an R64 that had been practically valueless for a long time, and the new tree or whatever makes it, it's significant. It makes it of equal importance. So suddenly, everyone that's been sitting on Thulium is now got their lottery ticket.
Yeah, I've seen some people post. They're like, "Oh yeah, they said thulium. I thought I'd see if I had any, and guess what? I'm rich."
Yeah.
So,
well, there'll be stockpiles to use up, but
yeah,
hopefully,
it's exciting stuff. I mean, it shakes things up, and like right now, I mean it's pretty stagnant as far as wars and stuff goes. But what this is really going to do is it's going to enable people to do industry out in null. No longer are people going to be sucking on, JITA, for everything.
Right.
There's more human interaction that's going to be required for ice mining. Because you have to, even though it's going to be pretty simple to find these ice belts.
The ice belts will be limited in size and respawn every 4 hours. 2,500 ice blocks for each of the high sec. Well, of the high sec belts, certainly. So 2,500 units is... You can mine that out with a couple of dozen people in an hour, right?
Yeah, well, they're halving the...
they're halving the cycle time, yeah. So including that, you're going to... Decent-sized corpse can burn through those...
Any human out there, you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, it's
really,
the bots.
This is great news for you. This is going to... Well, at least for temporarily until they figure out something else, but this is really going to be a dagger into the heart.
Honestly, I think the bots will continue to thrive and adapt. I mean, you have anomaly ratting bots and everything, so that's still
makes
down
it challenging for them.
Right, it's just a new challenge. But every release of EVE is a challenge for a lot of them, where the offsets to instructions or functions.
You remember when
changed.
they did the new inventory system?
Right, that broke bots for ages, and it was amazing. You could see the market react because suddenly there was stuff not coming in.
Forums. Oh my gosh, all the bot users on their forums were raging hard.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was great stuff. I mean, unfortunately, the side effect was the players had to deal with this new system as well. In the first iteration of the new inventory system, it didn't really do it very well. But now
Well, it actually worked out in the end because they had to iterate on it. The bots would adapt and then they would iterate and that would break all the bots again. So the iteration process for fixing inventory actually just kept the bots out of the game for so long. It was it was just kind of interesting to watch this, I guess.
Yeah, the more stuff they do that's less computer screen like, more human intuition, more human interaction, the better off it's going to be. So don't be scared of change, guys.
Don't be afraid of change. But change. One of the other cool things regarding the moon minerals is they're actually adding new R64 moons. There's going to be 200. They're adding 227 across New Eden. High sec, or not only low sec and null sec.
The pause changes. Too. This is.
Right, so everybody's going to have to go out and scan every moon again, just in case they get one of these lottery tickets.
Oh, yeah. Now, if they sit there and just had it where moons kind of slowly, change from one type to the other, that would be amazing.
Oh, dear, but then that would ruin, I don't know, static resources, battles over these things,
But only if major battles were happening a little more frequently.
Well, okay, true. You got me there. Do you anticipate... they're talking now about the planetary conquest component of Dust, and I see that they're deploying in Molden Heath, apparently.
Oh
and
yeah,
they
no,
will provide bonuses to bosses and stuff in that region. Do you think that might make some of those moons actually valuable now?
um, I, I, I mean, we'll see. I think it just kind of depends on people that live there. I mean, is it something that's valuable for them? But it's really they're I'm have faith that they're going about it. They're kind of slowly like, okay, we're going to introduce. Dust is going to be able to influence this a little bit, just kind of little things here and there, and it's going to evolve into other things, and they're going slow to make sure they don't break stuff.
Right.
I mean, they've gone through like a real restructure as far as CCP goes, so it's really a solid setup they have now.
Yeah, they are now opening, or they're talking about opening up the economies now, so that I'll be able to donate cash to my Dusty alts.
Yeah, but I think
there'll be a big tax on it, but
I think he said 95%.
right, even at 95% tax, I can like make myself a ridiculously rich Dust player, right?
I'll play a couple matches and I'm like, all right, like 15 minutes later, I've made like 200,000 ISK, and I'm like, oh, right, payday,
Right, yeah, no, and 200,000, right.
Nothing for my EVE account, like.
But interestingly, the economics guys, they revealed that the EVE economy is like 600 trillion ISK, and since Dust has, launched in beta or whatever, that's 600 trillion ISK there. So they're, it's different. There's a lot more people playing Dust, I guess, but they're much smaller.
Millions of players. They have millions of players.
Millions of poor players, whereas, we are the 1% playing EVE, right?
Yeah, we've got like, I think, is it 600,000?
Yeah, 500,000, yeah.
Oh, I think they're including the China server as well.
Right. Well, they are all, that's a whole different economic model out there, let's
say. We think we got a bad here as far as stagnation.
Oh, God. I mean, they decided where the lines were drawn back, based on some previous game, right?
I don't remember the history of.
Did you ever try to get on the Chinese server? There was a whole there was a whole bunch of people from Fail Heat. They created the what is it? Crying old men. Or whatever.
Yeah, it was
the bitter
crying
vets.
Old men. Yeah, it's like they took bitter vets, translated it to English, and then took that English translation and then translated it back into
translated it to Chinese and then back into English. And
and it came out to bitter old vets.
Much crying old men. That's what
much crying old experts. That's what it was.
Old experts. And they were, I just remember that. They were going in and they killed like this Raven Navy issue, and they almost got a carrier with their like Tech 1 frigates. Yeah,
because they were all like young players, but the thing is though, they were a couple expansions back, and I mean, and it's no joke. I mean, the players, we really know the ins and outs of the mechanics.
Right.
And those guys over there aren't really used to PvP. It's like those just hold hands or. But I didn't really get into it because
it was all like honor. Like the only reason they would fight would be for honor or something like that. Yeah. And we all know what honor does. How much honor there is.
Well, then it was really challenging for a non-Chinese player to get onto the Chinese server. It was really there was some it was a lot of hoops you had to go through to try to bake it in or something. I don't know, but I just wasn't willing to go through that hassle. To it'd have been interesting. It's like you got the same universe as far as mechanics goes, but everything.
Right. Well, the Chinese server, I remember hearing basically that when it started out, everybody rushed to put posses up, right? Because it was faster to train to get a poss up than it was to train to get into a dreadnought. So the place was littered with these things, and nobody could take them down because nobody had dreadnought skills.
Oh wow.
Right, so it created this like kind of imbalance for a long time, simply because there was people that understood the game and knew what worked. And this was, of course, using the old solve system for a long time as well.
Yeah.
But one other thing that came out of FanFest, which was really cool, and you mentioned your -5 sec status. Well, you've heard about Rainwatch and the tags for sec.
They're going to have it where certain rats, only in low sec, will drop these like elite tags, new tags.
Yeah, which you can then buy sec status with.
Yeah, they'll be able to go on market. You can buy them off the market from these players that live on low sec.
Yeah.
And you can just you can turn in so many and it'll wipe away all the naughty stuff you
Clean
did.
slate, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is just like another example of Eve marketizing things, right? Previously, you had to go out with your character and fly from system to system, killing pirate rats to get your sex status up. Now you can have somebody else do that for you, and you just take the tags and you buy them at market rates.
I might just wait until after the expansion, but who knows how much that's going to cost when it first comes out.
Right. I mean, it's just a shame. I guess the question we'll be asking is, what is the nearest place to Jita where I can cash in these tags? Right? Because that will be the place to buy and sell those tags. Because you'll get everyone's
still the market hub, so.
Right, but you'll have to cash in the tags at specific Concord stations. So, if you're suicide ganking in Jita, you go there, you'll do your business, kill your freighters, jump out to this station, fix your sex status, and come back and you'll do it again. Yeah,
you just use the money you made off the guy and just never-ending cycle of being a bad guy.
Never-ender cycle of suicide ganking. Oh, it's a terrible thing. But
I actually suicide ganked 2 people to get my sex status low and high sec.
Oh, you did? And you should have just flown a smart bomb into a bunch of miners or something.
I thought about doing that, but then I started doing a little more research. I knew they were going to have... It was harder to kill them than because the whole mining barge changes happened from my previous first flight of 1,000 Rifters.
Right.
That one,
they're a lot tougher.
Yeah, they are. And the thing is like, not only are they naturally tougher, like the Mackinaws and stuff, but you can sit there and fit on like a full-blown tank practically and still not sacrifice slots for mining yield. So... And I was doing the math, and I was like, there's no way I could sit there and smart bomb these guys.
So the way to do it, if you really want to kill your sex status fast, is get a Thrasher, arty Thrasher, and just sit on a gate between trade hubs and shoot pods.
That's what I did.
That's it.
The first guy I potted, I comboed him. My intention was, okay, as long as his implants wasn't... I looked at his history, how long he's been playing the game, and I was able to judge, okay, well... going to have probably at most this clone, so I'll set aside this ISK to reimburse him for upgrading his clone.
You're such a nice guy.
And also I was like, as long as his implants are not like higher implants, I'll reimburse the implants. I already had that in mind. I combo the guy and he starts going crazy on me, and I was like, look man, I'm sorry. And he was like, you're sorry for suicide ganking? He was like, if you don't know how to control your fat fingers or whatever, go play a 16-bit console, I don't want to repeat it. And I was like, look, man, you don't understand. I was like, I was just doing this for this event. And he was like, so you agree? And I gave him the link, which is www.foatr.com.
Okay.
And I was trying to let him know that I needed to get my sex status low. Before I could tell him that, I was like, I'm going to reimburse you the stuff. And then he started saying that he was going to let CCP know that I was griefing and spamming him with the event, where I'm going to probably lose out like 40 billion,
Right.
And then he left combo, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. He's just butthurt. But the second guy that I potted, he was in this belt, and he was an adventure, and he was 5 days old. I didn't look at his age until after I volleyed his venture, and then I volleyed his capsule. And then I comboed him. He was like, hey, how you doing, And he was actually a legitimate player that only been playing for 5 days. And I explained to him what's going on. And he was like, well, that's the whole reason why I play this game. He was like, if this game had, if it was 100% safe, he was like, I wouldn't play it. That's not exciting.
Right. Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, this guy's got the right attitude. And
excellent.
So,
did you give him a fat prize?
I gave him 100 million.
Oh, he is so happy.
Yeah,
if he turns up, what's his name? If he turns up, we should give some special reward.
If he shows up, yeah, it could be something. I could invite him if he happens to be on the kill mill, But yeah, his friend that got him to the game, he was telling his friend about this, and his friend didn't even have 100 million. His friend was only been playing the game a couple months, and when you start off on the game, it's like.
I remember my first 100 million. Boy. Yeah,
you were all like, oh, let me take a screenshot. Let me go put this on the refrigerator, and And
Yeah.
but yeah, his friend was incredibly jealous. He was like, "Thanks for killing me," So I was like, "Hey, no problem,"
So
And
do we have the name of the first guy? Because we
um,
might want to shame him. Maybe we can invite him to Flight of a Thousand Drifters or something again.
let's
It
see.
might actually,
Should we do
let's not
that?
name him because we all
I'll
know what
name the
happened to
sec.
the
Well,
Mittani, right?
yeah, I'm not going to.
He had
I don't
his
think I'm gonna-
chance of fame and glory.
The second guy, I guess if somebody really wanted to do some research, they could. Oh,
Yeah, that's true. It'd be
got
pretty
that.
easy to find out.
Yeah, but the
Don't
second
harass
guy,
these guys.
second guy, he is the right attitude
He
player
is.
of the game. The
That
first
is-
guy, he's what's wrong with this game. So, but anyways, regardless though, but I've got the sec status now. The Nyx, it's fully assembled. It's got the gear on it. It's got everything it needs.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
Yes, it is 100% ready to go. It's yeah. So this Sunday. May 5th.
Sunday.
Now the if you read the information, which there's also I have a thread in game events on EVE Online, the EVE Online thread, and also at the Matani.com. If you can dig it up, the Flight of a Thousand Rifters 3 Vengeance, you can dig it up there, or if you just go to www.foatr.com, it'll redirect you to the article, tell you all the information you need to know.
Yep.
And right now, it's the Tier 1 prizes. Here's another thing, too, is I don't want people to forget. Okay, for the Tier 1 prizes, even if you're on the Nyx kill mail with any frigate, which is fine,
Right.
but if there's evidence 30 minutes prior to me undocking or 30 minutes after my capsule is killed of you being in anything else other than a frigate, you're disqualified.
Does this include Tech 2 frigates?
This includes noob ships.
Noob ships, so that's the other thing. And
Noob ship is a frigate. It's classified as a frigate now.
and they're not so bad now.
Yeah, if you go to the market and you open up the frigate tab, anything in there, that counts.
Oh, excellent. What?
It's very
man,
simple.
I'm
but
thinking of offering like really stupid prizes if people turn up in mining barges or something.
well, if you look at the Tier 2 challenge prizes, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios that are covered. And if any more prizes come up, I mean, I'm not going to turn away any prizes if you want to sponsor anything.
Well, I will, as I said, I'll throw in a plex to just the person that gets on the the person that gets the final blow on the most expensive kill mail after the Nyx, right?
Yeah. Anything else beyond that, I'm going to put it under the Tier 1 prizes because the challenge prizes, that's going to take me a long time to figure out and to dish that out. And the easiest ones to do will be the Tier 1 prizes because that's just basically damage you do using a frigate on the Nyx equals your points.
Right. So get in a blaster fit, in curses or something.
I think in curses will do well. I think if you're really interested...
It's not like it's hard for a frigate to hit a Nyx. The phrase barn door comes to mind.
Well, I've actually missed shooting a pause before with a dreadnought sitting still. It's like you completely miss it. I'm like, how did you miss that?
Yeah. Yeah, capital guns are very slow tracking. As I was actually on the test server trying to get some video of Titan Doomsdays, and I was actually quite impressed by some of the things I hit, and also even more impressed by the things I couldn't hit.
What do you speaking of like rather large guns, what do you think about that Origins trailer and the Dust Planet side, what they do to the Nyx?
Oh, well, I mean, we've been waiting for that forever. I so want that to happen.
I saw that and I'm like, that's what's going to happen to me Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
it's just a shame that the game doesn't really have special models for things exploding. But they do have art assets for like a Nyx that's getting blown up slowly, because it's always, if you look at all the videos, it's always Nyxes that get destroyed like in the super caps, because they have the assets of a thing getting destroyed slowly, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So speaking of like art assets, there's actually a CCP said during FanFest that they have the models and textures are actually what they originally do is 4 times the amount than what they release.
Right, yeah, so this is what they use in the trailers, right? Is the 4 times resolution.
And they were the players in the audience were like, why can't we have an optional download of that graphics pack?
Right. I mean,
and they were like, you would want that? And they're like, if there's enough people that want it, and there's a thread on the EVE Online General thread, that if that's something you want, if you have a high-end computer that can really rock the graphics, you need to go there and give support.
Right. I don't know how high-end, but I totally support the notion.
Yeah, I like the idea. I don't think the computer I have right now could probably do it without just simply having a heart attack.
It would be nice to have a secondary option that would say only use the super high-res textures on your ship, whatever you were flying at the time, and then everyone else would get the crappy textures. Or the regular crap. Like,
they're not even rendered. They're just still like the little squares.
Yeah, that's also true. I want the option with no textures at all, right? The one that is just the battle map or whatever.
I just want a wireframe.
Wireframe. Bring me back to my old Elite days. Oh yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of good stuff coming up, and it's a good time to get into EVE. And again, once that Uprising expansion comes out for Dust. If you tried Dust before, it is not the same game.
Yep, I'm going back to it for sure. And then the next thing we've got is Odyssey Release, and I presume you've got your battle cruiser skills all set up for that.
I think. Because they're going to be the
free skill points.
Yeah, if you have Destroyers 5 and Battle Cruisers 5,
and all the racial skills.
They're going to split it.
Yeah.
It'll be Amar Battlecruiser, Caldari Battlecruiser, Galente Destroyer, Mimitar Destroyer.
Yes.
And it's just so it makes the skill tree make more sense. I know some people are like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. It's it's not fair, and they're breaking immersion. No, they're not. It's just
no, they're not. It is kind of not fair if you're a player that starts just after that, because now you have a little further to go, but it makes more sense.
Not just Destroyers and Battlecruisers either. There's a lot of the ships that they're looking at the prerequisites for, and they're changing it a little bit.
Yeah, they're changing capital ships now. You won't need Battleship 5.
I think you can get into... Well, at first glance, you're like, oh, I'll be able to get into XYZ ship faster. It's not necessarily the case. It's more like, you might not need Battleship level 5, but there's another skill that's going to be at a higher level or something. I haven't looked at it in a while. I'd have to relook, but it's the prerequisites where these ships are going to make more sense. Where if you're like, hey, I just want to stick with, this style ship, and it'll be natural stepping stones.
Right.
You go up the ladder.
But
I got a skill for this. I got to run over here, skill for that.
I know. But I guess my point was, for anyone that listens to this and doesn't know, you gotta get your battle cruiser skills and your destroyer skills in the next month.
Seriously, you can fly it now, you'll be able to fly it after the expansion.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you can fly as many battle cruisers and destroyers as you can before Odyssey launches, so you can get your free skill points. Otherwise, you will regret it. I think it's something like 7 million skill points if you have everything at 5. That'll be nice.
No, I think the only thing I'm short on is I have 9 days left on Caldari Cruiser, but everything.
But you only need Caldari Cruiser 3.
Oh, okay.
Because you need Battle Cruiser 5
and Destroyer 5.
Yeah, Cruiser 3. I thought they might also go in and follow the rules they'd suggested for jump freighters and say that they needed Freighter 5, so I got all my jump freighter skills, and then they didn't change that because they would have to give out too many skill points.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can fly every ship in the game now, so I'm,
You are unnerfable.
I am unnerfable, yes. It's only my own skills that hold me back. But speaking of holding us back, I think time is really starting to hold us back. We're rapidly running out.
We tried to shoot for a shorter podcast or video, and I think we've...
we're hitting up against the hour mark. I'm definitely going to put some raffle prizes up for this podcast. And so, look in the description on YouTube. There will be a link to a prize draw for people.
Still need a name for this stuff.
We still need a name for this, yes. Escape Pod doesn't work. If you're an arty type...
A little more.
Yeah. Maybe if you're an arty type, you can even come up with a logo or something. But anyway, yes... May 5th, Flight of a Thousand Rifters.
Oh my gosh.
And make sure you're signed up for Eve so you can get your awesome rewards on the 6th. And Twitter, Eve is 10, hashtag. Anything else?
If you have a really cool story that actually happened in game,
True Stories.
You need to go to the True Stories Eve website.
And they might make a TV show or a comic out of your awesome Eve story.
Yeah. It's your chance to actually have a real influence another way, another medium of Eve Online.
Yeah.
Eve Universe.
Well, anyway, I'm Scott Manley.
I'm Marlona Sky.
Fly safe.